All right, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I apologize. Hello, everybody. I apologize for the technical difficulties. Okay, so let's get things moving. I'm sorry for the connection. We've been having some issues here. We're going to try to move things along as quickly as possible so we can get through all of the material before the Wi-Fi crashes here another time. So we left off last week, happiness part 1. We said that happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a tool that we use throughout life. And it's a state of mind. It's a means, and it's not an end. It's not an end. And it's internal, and it's not something external. You can't arrive at happiness with shopping. You can't arrive at happiness with an object. You can't arrive at happiness with another person, which you could arrive at happiness internally, inside. Okay? So we said the connecting of opposites. Anytime there's a connection of opposites, it's a time of great joy. When a baby is born, we know it's a great time of happiness. Why is everyone so excited? Of course, it's a cute baby, it's a beautiful baby, great. But why this great happiness? And our sages tell us, because there are two opposites that come together. What are those two opposites? One is a body, the other is a soul. And when those two opposites come together, that's when there's joy. Right? And anytime you have a husband and a wife at a marriage, why is it a time of great joy? It's a husband and a wife who are considered two opposites, and they come together, that is a time of joy. So whenever you have the coming together of two opposites, you have a time of joy. It says that when the heaven and the earth come together, that's when it rains. It's like a husband and wife, they come together. It's when it rains, it's the heaven and the earth reunite. That's a time when people would be filled with joy. The joy of a mitzvah is the connection with the Creator. We're not opposites, but when we're able to use a mitzvah as a tool to connect with our Creator, right? We're connecting these two forces, our physical bodies, being able to connect to a spiritual entity, so meaning the Almighty. So all of these things, these opposites, when they connect, that's a time of great joy. So it's one of the tools that we could use to find happiness and you'll notice this, that whenever you have these opposites, there's a time of joy. The more we immerse our body with spirituality, right? That's when we feel more complete, that's when we feel more happy. Okay. Now, as a general rule, there are 4 dimensions of traits. We've mentioned this in the introduction: the fire, wind, water, and earth. And fire is represented in arrogance and anger. Wind is, pointless chatter, just idle chatter. Then we have water, which is pleasures and jealousy. And we can talk about this in length a different time. And earth is sadness, laziness, and despair. Okay, we're going to get into these dimensions another time. But just so that you understand that happiness is a trait that's all-consuming almost, right? It gets us out of our despair. It gets us out of our sadness, out of our laziness. It could get us out of our jealousy as well. But there are 4 positive four positive attributes correct these negative traits. Happiness makes it possible to work on sadness, laziness, and despair. All right, so happiness is a great tool to help us work on our negative traits. Okay, now one of the things that we need to constantly remember is that you are unique. Every person, you are unique. And you need to be happy with what you have, with who you are. Whether it be physical or spiritual, you are the only you there will ever be. That's a special thing, right? One of the things that people fail to realize is how special they are, how unique they are. There's no human being who ever existed or who ever will exist who is like you. All right, there are some people who have some similarities. People see you, they say, "Oh, you remind me of so and so," but not you are you. You're the only you there will ever be. Okay, so that's something to be very happy about, something to be very proud about. If you're not happy with who you are, then we can talk about that offline. But maybe you need to go see someone. Maybe you need to talk to someone who can help you find and see the beauty and the uniqueness and the positivity of your own identity of who you are. But don't forget, you are unique. You are special. And you have something to give to the world that is different than anybody else can give. Right? You can give people a skill or a talent. You can shine a light to the world that no one else can shine in a way that no one else can. And that's very important for every person to remember. Find peace and harmony within yourself and with yourself. Right? We say a blessing every morning, in the morning blessings, which is Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, Creator, Elokeinu, God, King of the universe, our God, King of the universe, Sha'asa li kol tzarki. What is Sha'asa li kol tzarki? Who has provided me my every need. God takes care of everything that I need. Now you're going to say to yourself, well, what I need is what my neighbor has, and I don't have what my neighbor has. Well, then there's a reason God didn't give it to you. If God thought you needed it, you would have it. All right? So it's a very important, a critical idea for us to understand and remember that we have exactly what we need. And God gives us everything that we need. Maybe not what we want, but for sure what we need. The next blessing that we say is Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam. Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, King of the universe, Hamechin mitzadei gaver, who firms man's footsteps. God takes care, He prepares our next step. Right? You ever think of a game of chess, for example? Right? So a game of chess, what is the number one skill that's needed? Well, you need to think of what is the next move my opponent is going to take. Right? So if I am smart enough to understand what their next move is going to be, I can win the game. Because I calculate a step ahead of them, or 2 or 20 steps ahead of them. God plans ahead for us. And whatever we're facing now is helping us get to a better place ahead. So if you're in a place of difficulty, don't look at it as this is a place of difficulty. But rather, this is a step to help me grow. This is a step to help me become better. This is a step that will help me become a better person, become a better parent, become a better spouse, become a better business person. Right? Many times those challenges that we face, if we look at them independently, we don't realize how there's a much bigger picture. But God has the master plan. And God is playing a game of chess with us, thinking we have more to go in this challenge. Don't think that it's just now here, the challenge that you have now. So it's also a very important component in happiness. Happiness is, you got to think bigger than just right now. There's a big picture. There's a lot that we're going to have to face throughout our lifetime. And every experience that we have is a tool for our future. So even if you had a miserable employment experience and you worked for someone and they were ungrateful, they didn't pay you right, they weren't honest, whatever it is, you can choose to be angry and upset and bitter, or you can choose to take that experience and be thankful that you gained during the time that you were there. During the time that you were working for that company or for that person, for that difficult, you could use it as a tool. Or you can be miserable and say, I can't believe that they treated me like that. Right? So someone who decides, who uses the tool of happiness, won't look at it and be upset. Won't look at a negative experience and be upset. But rather say, you know what? How can I use this in a positive way? And that's what we're looking for in life. Again, happiness isn't the result of other people treating you right. Happiness is a result in you taking what the experiences that you have, that you're presented with, and putting the right face on it. Happiness requires thought and focus. Appreciate what you were gifted with, okay? Be happy with your share, with what you have. And sadness comes from desiring what you have not, which is what we mentioned last week. Now, I don't remember if we mentioned this, but I'm going to bring you 3 verses that I think we may have mentioned it at the end of class last week, but I for sure did not bring the source. But now I'll tell you the source. In Genesis 24:1, chapter 24, verse number 1 in Genesis, Bereshit, it says as follows: V'Avraham zaken baba yamim, and Abraham was aged, in coming to days. V'Hashem beirach et Avraham bakol, and God blessed Abraham with everything, with all, bakol. In chapter 27, verse 33 in Genesis, it says regarding Yitzchak, Vayecharad Yitzchak charada gdola ad meod, and Yitzchak feared a tremendous fear. Vayomer mi efo hu hatzad tzayid, and where is, he's referring to his son, Esav, where is he? Vayave li ve'ochal mikol b'terem tavo v'arvarcheu gam baruch Hashem, baruch yeh. Right? So he says that he's referring to everything that he has, bakol. I have it all. I have everything. And then the last verse, which is in chapter 33, verse 9 and verse 21, and verse 11, we see by Jacob, where Jacob refers to what he has. Vayomer Esav, Esav says to his brother Jacob, Yesh li Rav, I have a lot. Yesh li Rav. Achi yihi lecha ashala lach. You should have what you have. I have a lot. You should have what you have. What does Jacob says? Jacob respond. Jacob says, Kach na et birchasi. Take the blessing asher huveta li lach, which I have brought for you. Asher huvat lach, which I got from you. Ki chanani elokim, because God blessed me, God graced me. V'chi yesh li kol, because I have it all. Vayiftzar bo vayikach. Okay, and he prodded him to take it, and he took it. The difference between Yaakov and Esav was Yaakov said, Yesh li kol, I have it all. I have it all. While Esav said, Yesh li Rav, I have a lot. More to be desired, but I have a lot, but not everything. Yaakov is satisfied with his share, as if he has it all. Esav, while he has an abundance, still seeks more. His quest for wealth is not quenched. Okay? The moment that we conclude that we have it all, we begin to enjoy what we have more. We are happy, we are content, and we feel no need for more. Right? We gain a much deeper pleasure in what we have in life. Now, I want to just point out something. I was asked by one of the viewers, what's the difference? I used the term joy and the term happiness. I want to make a distinction between the two. Joy is a temporary happiness, which could be a result of something. You have a joy from you've got a great deal on your clothes that you were looking to buy for the holiday season, and you found it at a great price. You have great joy, but that's very temporary. Happiness is permanent. Happiness is something, again, that you have from within. Joy comes from an external source. Joy has an expiration. Happiness doesn't necessarily need an expiration date. It's from within, and it's a permanent. Okay? It's a permanent existence. Number 7. Number 7 is as follows. Such a way... you don't even know what my numbers are. Sorry. Okay, so I have things numbered here. I apologize. Such a way of life provides a spiritual taste for physical pleasures. Okay? So that means if a person has true happiness, so physical things can bring about, physical pleasures could bring about a spiritual taste, right? And just to understand what that means, right, a person can utilize every physical object in this world for physical needs alone, or they could use those physical pleasures, those physical objects, for for spiritual purposes. So a person can use things for one of two ways. I'll give you an example. You have a car. Your car could be used only for my physical needs. I need it to go shopping, I need it to go to work, I need it for whatever I need it, and that's it. But you can also use that same car as a vehicle to give people rides, to volunteer for Meals on Wheels. You can volunteer, you can use that same physical entity for something which is spiritual. So you can go out of your way to help someone with that same. So while it's a physical object that's used for physical purposes, you can take that physical object and make it spiritual. The benefit of that is that it doesn't remain a physical object anymore, is that now it becomes a spiritual tool, right? That also can bring about happiness, where you suddenly realize that the physical things that we have around us aren't necessarily physical. We're not limited by physicality. So, it says, for example, in Deuteronomy, it says, "Ki lo al halechem levado yechia ha'adam." A person doesn't live merely by the bread that they have. Now, we all know this, that you could have an experience where, we have all probably experienced this, where we have food to eat, but we're not hungry. Or we eat a little bit of that food, and we're satiated, we're full. Other times, you can eat an entire restaurant, and you're not full, right? So you have experiences both of those realms, and both of those opposite worlds. Everything physical has a spiritual entity. You can learn more about this in Rabbi Cohn's Kabbalah classes. I highly recommend it. But with regard to Mussar, what we're trying to do is take every physical experience and make it into a spiritual experience. Right? That's what we do in all of Judaism. We're trying to take physical experiences and make them spiritual. Right? Happiness is a great tool. When you infuse things with happiness, when you fuse a physical experience with spirituality, you have joy, and you're elevating that physical experience to make it something much greater. Happiness with what we have comes by canceling the desires for more. So if you want to be happy with what you have, right, you need to stop desiring more. Right? I guarantee you, I actually did this with my wife last week. We went through closets, we went through drawers. We found so much excess, so many things that we don't need that we have. Why did we ever get them, right? And it's a problem. It's something that I think in our generation we're all plagued with. We have to learn to live with what we need, not with what we want, and change the frame of mind so that we don't get carried away. Change the frame of mind. If I must have it, now it's holiday season across the globe, so you have deals, you have sales, you have all of these things going on all around you. And the question that we need to ask ourselves, am I going shopping because I need something, or because I want something, or because I'll have the guilt potentially that I had a sale and I didn't buy it on the sale? And that's usually what happens. Like, it's such a good deal, I couldn't give it up. But do you need it? You don't need it. So you just wasted money, right? A person has to think, what do I really need? And if you get what you need, you'll have happiness. But if you're always seeking what you want, the CEO of Neiman Marcus, the CEO of Neiman Marcus said, "We sell nothing that people need, only things that people want." So you imagine, you can live an entire lifetime and never ever step foot in that store, and you won't be missing one thing, because they don't sell anything you need, only things you want. They're going after your emotion. They're going after, you're going to look so good if you have this. You're going to be so happy if you have this. But really, you don't need it. You just want it. Okay. So, I want to read to you from the Houston Chronicle, published in 2011. the definition for happiness in an article that was written, How to Survive an Era of Spendthrift Politicians. And remember, the best definition of happiness I've ever heard: you are happy when more money won't change where you live, what you eat, what you wear, or what you drive. All right? Happiness is, I don't need more. I don't need more. Nothing is going to change where I live, right? I love my home. My home is the most beautiful home in the world. I love my family. I have the most beautiful family in the world. Look inside. Don't look outside. That's, I believe, a great definition for happiness is not to always be seeking more. All right, so I have over here an article that I wanted to share quickly. I don't mind sending it to whoever would like it. It's 3 pages, and it's an entire article about, is happiness overrated? And it's published by the Wall Street Journal back in, I don't know if I have the date here, but the relentless pursuit of happiness may be doing us more harm than good. Again, and the reason for that is, the reason why the relentless pursuit of happiness may be doing us more harm than good is because our idea of how we attain happiness is wrong. People think we gain happiness at a certain destination, instead of realizing that it's within us and we're able to bring it out, right? We already possess that happiness. It's within us. And right, it goes through a whole it's a great article. I highly recommend that you read it. If you can search it online, it's written by Shirley Wang, right? And one other article published March 2011. I mentioned this last week, the happiest man on earth in America. Sorry, the happiest man in America. So here's the thing. For the last 3 years, Gallup, the Gallup poll company, right, has called 1,000 randomly selected American adults each day and asked them about their emotional status, work satisfaction, eating habits, illnesses, stress levels, and other indicators of their quality of life. It's part of an effort to measure the component of the good life, the perfect good life. The responses are plugged into a formula called the Gallup Healthways Wellbeing Index, and then sorted by geographic area and other demographic criteria. The accompanying maps show where well-being is highest and lowest around the country. The New York Times asked Gallup to come up with a statistical composite for the happiest person in America. And it goes on to identify a man named Alvin Wang, who is 5'10", 69 years old, Chinese American, kosher observing Jew, who's married with children and lives in Honolulu. I'm sorry.